All right. All right, so we're sitting here with Brenda Yablon. I've been corrected.
Yes.
And Brenda has two very successful bed and breakfasts here in Vancouver. Many years. How many years have you?
15.
15 years of experience running bed and breakfast. So
Fun and games.
Fun and games. So we thought she would be a very good person to talk about particularly some of the marketing things that she does, and maybe a few other tips if you had any advice for new bed and breakfast owners as to pitfalls to watch out for.
Sure.
So I guess first of all, maybe you could just give us a little sort of breakdown on your business. Like you have two houses.
Yes, I have two houses in the same block, and I've had one for 15 years and one for 2 years.
And your business, where do you get your clients from, or how do they find you?
Well over 90% of my business comes from the internet, and I've been on the internet now, this is my 13th year on the internet. And when I started, I was not very computer savvy at all, and I'm still not, but I did have a grasp that this was a global marketing tool that was cheap, and I thought, where do I sign up for this one?
Right.
And to the best of my knowledge, I was the first person in the accommodations industry in Vancouver to be on the internet.
Right. Now, I know you have some history with the Vancouver Tourism Board.
Right.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I still do belong to Tourism Vancouver, which is a non-governmental marketing organization that basically markets Vancouver to the world. And like any of these organizations, it's as good as your level of participation in it. So they do cater, to be fair, they do cater to the larger hotels and the bigger attractions, but there's still room in there for smaller businesses like mine. And as a matter of fact, several years ago, I was elected to the board of directors for 2 years. So that really is an indication that there is room for smaller business. And if you work it and you go to the functions and you network, and who was it who said 80% of success is just showing up?
Right.
So, you show up and you work it and it works. But the internet is by far my most valuable marketing tool.
Okay, so let's talk for a second about the internet and how you use it for marketing. So obviously you have a website.
Yes, I have a very detailed website.
Right.
And it has virtual tours. And to my mind, that was very important. And even when the technology was primitive, I always had something akin to a virtual tour on it, because I had learned from experience that the biggest single cause of unhappiness among guests is a discrepancy between expectation and reality. So if you can narrow that and provide tools where they can really see what they're getting, like virtual reality tours, even though they're a little bit costly, I've always viewed them as an excellent investment.
So basically, don't oversell yourself. Sounds like what you're saying there, because it ends up biting you in the.
Well, oversell is a matter of perception.
Right.
But certainly try to provide as much information as you can about what you're offering.
Right.
And if you're offering accommodations, a virtual tour really goes a long way towards providing a very accurate picture, literally, of what you're offering.
Right. Do you have any kind of mechanisms for gathering email addresses or so? Like, do people sign up for a newsletter with you, or they're basically just contacting you to book a room at that point?
They're just basically contacting me to book a room, and I don't do newsletters because I'm too busy with the day-to-day operation of the business to do newsletters, and quite frankly, I don't have to.
Right.
I think that from what I understand of my industry, that people in more rural locations who aren't that easy to get to, and Vancouver's a big city, lots of people come here.
Right.
And it's not that difficult to be on the radar as a bed and breakfast.
Right.
So for me, a newsletter was not a useful tool.
Right. So being on the radar, you mentioned, which is important. Other than, so, I mean, you have your own website, but of course you have to get people to find you and to get to that website. So can you talk about some of the things that you do to get found on the internet?
Sure. Well, first of all, I did searches myself, and I found out which umbrellas, if you will, are the easiest to find. So bedandbreakfast.com, for example, is an obvious choice because, first of all, the name is generic, and they are a very big presence on the internet. So signing up with them was a really good move.
And there was a cost to that, I assume?
Yes, I think I pay about $300 a year. But, you know, it's well worth it because when I look at my stats, I see that I get a lot of business from it.
Okay, and actually, and stats is a good lead into the next thing. So you do track who comes to your website?
Yes, I do. I have a software that tracks it, and I pay attention to it because there are several sites that I subscribe to, and they have to perform for me. If they don't perform for me, then I drop them.
So you use tracking software to figure out which ones are driving
Yes.
the most traffic to you, and that lets you decide whether or not you want to continue with that marketing, is
Right.
what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so is bedandbreakfast.com the one that drives the most traffic to you?
Yes.
Do you do any other marketing stuff like that? Like, are you using Craigslist, for example, to do
No.
any advertising?
No, I don't. I don't need to. And I do use Craigslist in the winter when we convert a lot of our accommodations, if not all, to long-term rentals. So then I use it. But for daily bed and breakfast in our season from May to October, no, I don't.
You don't need to.
No.
You're busy enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned bedandbreakfast.com. Are there any other similar sites that you use?
Yes, there's theinnkeeper.com, which is a pretty good one. There's Home Away, which is a good one.
And are
Having
these
said all of that,
all in the same kind of price range? They're around $300 a year. Is that kind
the
of
others,
going price, or?
well, it depends. You know, they offer different packages. So you can sign up for something very comprehensive. It depends on the size of your operation and what really works for you. But I find that money on the internet, marketing on the internet is really money well spent.
Right.
But of course, I pay the most attention to my own website because that's what gets the most hits.
Right.
And
in your traffic rankings, what is the sort of the hierarchy?
High.
Where are the? But I'm saying, where are the bulk of your traffic? Are they coming from like a referral site like Bed and Breakfast, or are you coming from searches?
They come mostly from search engines, from Google and Yahoo.
And do you know what percentage of your visits are search engine related?
I would say 80%.
80%.
Oh yeah.
So ranking high in the search engines is something that's very important.
Yes, and
to your business.
I work at that very regularly.
And when you say you work at that, what kinds of things do you?
Well, I have a
work at that?
webmaster who makes sure that I'm well positioned, and plus I have a couple of different companies whose names I am not going to divulge,
Right.
whom I subscribe to, and I pay them a certain amount, really a nominal amount every month. It's not very much.
Right.
And they make sure that
They
I'm...
place you in the right directories,
Yes.
and they make sure that you're on the right social bookmark sites and stuff, so that you're
Yes, I
positioning
don't
well.
do, there are some businesses I know of who will sign up with the search engines and they'll do a pay-per-click. I won't do that because I think it's very expensive. They take as much as 30%, and I just don't find it necessary.
So this is referral engine sites, you're saying?
Yes.
What about tourism? I hear a lot in the industry about a company, sort of, a Swedish company that's going to rent out your place for the whole summer because they have a whole bunch of tourists coming through. Is that something that you look at?
Well, I won't rent out my whole place to anybody because...
Pardon the motorcycle here, we'll just let that go by.
yeah.
So you're
No,
tourism
I
operators.
won't rent out my whole place because first of all, it's too big to rent out, and it's not necessary. Usually people will ask, can we rent the whole place, and I can say, how many people are you? And they say 12. Well, we can easily accommodate 12 people, but I think your question is, do I deal with tour operators?
Right.
Yes, I do. I have 2 tour operators that I deal with. They're European because I have chosen to go after the European market because I have language skills and I enjoy the company of European tourists. I don't pay them commission because they know that our rates are very reasonable, and so whatever arrangements they have with the people that they send to us is an arrangement that they have. but these people do take care of some bookings, and what we do is we designate a couple of rooms for them, and they let us know up to 30 days ahead of time whether or not they're going to use them, and that works very, very well.
Right. Okay, so to summarize, I guess, the internet is really your main form of advertising.
Well, absolutely, and you know, my website is my calling card to the world. So I'm always, my website is always a work in progress, because the Manor Guest House is a living thing. You know, it's got a life of its own, and we're always making changes, we're always upgrading. So as soon as we do that, those changes are reflected on the website. So
actually, that's a really good point that you made. So you don't think of your website as being done.
No.
It's not finished, because there's going to be new things, you're
always
changing, you want to keep that content fresh on the website.
Yes.
So do you have a way that you can update that content yourself, or do you just send that to your webmaster?
I just send it to my webmaster.
Right, and that you're happy with that kind of thing?
Yes, I have an arrangement with him where I can do that, and it's included in the yearly posting fee.
Right. Okay, and so just to summarize, you pay for a website, you pay for certain advertising on relevant sites like bedandbreakfast.com, things that are, but you're not doing a percentage deal, you're just doing a flat ad buy.
Right.
So,
yes.
So I get featured in your directory for a month or for a year or whatever for a flat rate.
Exactly.
So you're not paying a commission on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's about it. I guess one of the things that I wanted to talk about was...
I also have my website translated in several languages, so that it is accessible to a wider market. And there again, you know, because I pursued a European market, it made a lot of sense for me to have the website available in French and German and Spanish.
And what kind of, you say you track stats, what kind of percentage do you see in terms of the different languages? Like is the bulk of it in English, or do you get a significant...
The bulk of it is in English, but we do get, I would say 20% of the hits are from the foreign language sites.
Right, and what languages are your sites in?
German, French, and Spanish, and we also have Japanese. I speak German, French, and Spanish myself. I don't speak Japanese.
Right. And of those other languages, what's the highest that's read on your site?
German.
The German.
Mm-hmm.
And is that because you're targeting Germany, or is it just there's a lot of German tourists?
There are a lot of Germans, and Germans travel,
right.
And they like bed and breakfast because Germans like a deal, and bed and breakfast is a good deal.
Right. Okay. So we have a number of new bed and breakfast owners or people who are thinking about getting into this business. One of the things that we were hoping to offer them was an expert opinion, and we were going to ask you if it was okay for you to be not available at their beck and call, but to come onto our forum once in a while and respond to some questions, maybe find a couple of good ones that you can sort of lend your opinion to.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Okay, so Brenda's going to be available. If you have any questions, you can submit them into the forum there, and we'll try and make sure that that the very best ones get plucked out. So so make sure it's a good one. All right, do you want to take us for a little tour on your place here? Can we get you to show us the outside of the bed and breakfast, or maybe a room or two?
Sure.
All right, let's do that.